Ritual, routine, and chronic conditions. Hello, my lovelies. I am Annette. My website is AnnetteLeonard.com, and I am coming back at you with an episode of the Chronic Wellness Podcast. Thanks for being here. One of the things that I think many of us with chronic conditions struggle with, but especially those of us who are sick enough to no longer be in the world of work, is the place that routine has in our life. And I guess the lowest hanging fruit to talk about when it comes to talking about routine is our medications. And I guess I'll just give a shout out to the fact that if your medication game is not already on point, start there. Your body is uniquely its own. And one thing I can say with certainty without being your doctor is that if you are not already taking your pills on a set schedule with religious care, you could be doing better for yourself. And by that, I mean, if you're sloppy about the times of day that you're taking it, if you think that it's not a big deal to take it 2 hours earlier or later from day to day, if you think it's not a big deal to miss a dose, you're just doing yourself a disservice. You're missing out on optimizing what your meds could be doing for you. So set alarms, wake up if you must to at least just swallow those pills and get your meds game on point. If you're meant to be taking them 4 times a day, set the alarms and take them 4 times a day. It is a hassle, but I promise you it is the way to optimize how these medications are supposed to help our bodies and be taken. And so that is the first thing I will say about rituals and routines. It is not the most spiritually satisfying, but it is the first one to be attending to if you're not yet doing it. All right. So the next thing I'll say is that without the guiding path of having a work life, one can feel quite untethered. There's, kind of a groundlessness to not having routine to our days. And I think that people who are retired deal with this just the same as those of us who are retired because of our disabling conditions. And that what I've learned for me over the years is that it behooves me to have a small amount of ritual to guide my days. And it's certainly interrupted by days that I don't get out of bed, days that my pain is too great to do my ordinary ritual, days that I have appointments that intercede, and to still have kind of a path forward each day to help me push through and get out of whatever circumstance I'm arriving into the day with has been really valuable. And it doesn't need to be much, folks, but for me, right now, that ritual is as simple as upon waking, I have an app where I log how I'm feeling and how my sleep went so that I can do some consistent tracking. I do just a few gentle stretches to kind of deal with my morning stiffness and arthritis before I get out of bed. And when I get up and greet my dogs and my spouse, Then one of us makes my cup of coffee. Sometimes it's her, sometimes it's me. And I savor that morning brew. I have the tastiest coffee that I can find, and I enjoy the crap out of that cup of coffee. I just really focus on the pleasure that brings me. And then I usually light a candle, and sometimes that candle is on an altar, and sometimes it's part of what I've talked to you about, where I have a grief bowl. Right now I'm carrying some real heaviness, and so I use that grief bowl as a place to manage and help me carry that grief. And then I usually do a guided meditation. And if I'm able to sit up for it, I do. And if I'm not, then I lie back down or lie out on the couch. And then most days, I then tuck into some reading or writing. And I tend to, at some point in the day, pull a tarot card and contemplate it some or write about it a little. And so, that's not a lot. I could do all of that in less than 30 minutes, or it could stretch into most of the day, depending on how much time I take for each of those things. And if I'm feeling well enough, I have other things I fold in. There are some puzzles on the New York Times app that I like to do with my wife. If I can take my little dog for a walk to the mailbox and back. Just other things if I'm feeling up for it. But having some scaffolding to hang the day upon, rather than just allowing the day to have its way with me, works better for my psyche and to help me bend and gravitate toward wellness in my mind and spirit. How about you? I wonder what things you do. I wonder if you have any rituals or routine. I wonder if you'd be willing to share them in the comments section so that we can learn about what your priorities are as you greet the day. Is it nature that you go out into? Is it a spiritual practice? Is it something for family or your obligations at home? Sound off. We would like to know. I would like to know. And as ever, if you have not liked or subscribed, I'd be grateful if you did. And I'm glad you chose to spend a little time here with me this way. Until we're together again, I hope you are finding ways to be well.